Two villains, two monstrous intellects, one built from the cold precision of machine evolution, the other a biological nightmare forged from the DNA of the universe's deadliest warriors. Metal Cooler, reborn through the infinite power of the Getty Star, wielding mechanical generation and reaction speed that rival even teleportation. Imperfect Cell, the bio-android absorbing cities in hours and already towing the line between super genius and superpower. Today, we'll be breaking down both of these titans because despite what you might think, this fight is nowhere near close. Imperfect Cell was the earliest stage of Dr. Gero's ultimate creation, an evolution bio-android born from the cells of the most powerful beings in the universe, Goku, Vegeta, Piccolo, Frieza, and King Cold. Even in his incomplete form, Cell was a terrifying force of nature, wielding an elite mix of combat intelligence, regeneration, and raw strength. Let's start with the basics of Cell's strength. His debut fight takes place in Gingertown, where he already absorbed the powerful life force of its inhabitants. There, he faced off against Piccolo, who had just fused with Comet. This version of Piccolo was incredibly powerful, considered by many to be on par with Android 17 and 18. Cell's battle with Piccolo, although relatively brief, gave us several key details to work with. While Cell wasn't as strong as Piccolo at the time, he definitely wasn't as far as some people believe. He was able to withstand multiple blows and even trade attacks, holding his own during key moments of the fight. Now, there's a misconception that Piccolo may have been holding back, but this is contradicted by multiple sources, including statements from Piccolo himself and various guidebooks, which confirm that he was fighting at full power. Android 16 even directly compares Piccolo's power to that of Android 17 and 18, so the conclusion is pretty clear. Piccolo was not going easy on Cell. Based on this, even if Cell wasn't quite at Piccolo nor 17's level, he could reasonably scale closer to Android 18, who was canonically just a bit weaker than 17. This would place Imperfect Cell already at a very high tier relative to the early Android saga. After this encounter, Cell disappears for a bit, but we do get an important moment when he senses Vegeta. While he acknowledges that Vegeta is stronger than expected, he avoids confrontation. Some interpret this as Cell being weaker, but this is unlikely. Cell had just escaped Piccolo, who should still be nearby, and was trying to avoid and maintain his secrecy. Additionally, Cell scales to Android 18, who already defeated Vegeta in a direct fight, so it's more than likely Cell chose to avoid Vegeta for tactical reasons, not because he was weaker. Later, Cell absorbs hundreds of humans and powers up dramatically. When he returns to the battlefield during Piccolo's fight with Android 17, he is clearly on a whole new level. He takes a direct hit from Piccolo's light grenade without a scratch. According to Daizenshuu 7, if your ki is twice as strong as your opponent, you can completely nullify their attacks. That means Cell more than doubled his strength simply from absorbing human energy. While that may sound surprising, it's actually consistent with Dragon Ball scaling. In many instances, absorbing ki results in exponential power increases, not just linear ones. A perfect example of this is the Spirit Bomb, a technique whose effectiveness against Kid Buu depended on gathering energy from ordinary humans, and Kid Buu, mind you, could destroy the entire universe. And remember, Cell can actually make one of these Spirit Bombs, in his imperfect form. After overpowering Piccolo and absorbing 17, Cell then faces Android 18, and the fight is largely even. Most sources agree that Imperfect Cell and Android 16 are comparable in strength at this point. However, there's a case to be made that Cell may be slightly stronger. Daizenshuu refers to him as the strongest artificial human, and while regenerating his tail, which reduces stamina and combat efficiency, Cell was still trading blows with 16. So whether you view them as equals or Cell having a slight edge, one thing is certain. Imperfect Cell's power grew at a staggering rate, and by the time he reached Android 17, he was operating at a new level far beyond where he started. Cooler arrived on Earth to avenge his brother Frieza's defeat at the hands of Goku. This film takes place after Goku's iconic battle with Frieza during a period where Goku had been rigorously training, which is well reflected through Cooler's acknowledgement of Earth-raised Saiyan's power. Cooler notably tells Goku that he understands how he'd be able to defeat his brother. Even before transforming, Goku was able to challenge Cooler underwater, forcing Cooler to admit once again that Goku must be the one who defeated Frieza. This realization compels Cooler to unveil his final form, a transformation that surpasses anything Frieza had achieved. Cooler's final transformation completely shifts the battle in his favor. Goku's Kaioken becomes ineffective, and Cooler effortlessly tanks a Kaioken-powered Kamehameha, reinforcing how far beyond Goku he'd risen. However, once Goku is triggered into transforming into a Super Saiyan, Cooler remarks that this must have been the form Goku used to defeat Frieza. Yet, considering all the praise Cooler gives to Goku's base form, it's likely that even in base, this version of Goku could put up a solid fight against Frieza's final form. While it's possible Cooler was downplaying Frieza's strength, the fact that he felt the need to go beyond his base form to ensure victory suggests he knew his standard power wouldn't be enough. Cooler is ultimately overpowered by Super Saiyan Goku, though he retaliates with a colossal supernova attack that pushes Goku to his limits. Using a tremendous surge of energy, Goku manages to repel it back at Cooler, sending him hurling into the sun. Yet, astonishingly, this doesn't completely destroy Cooler. After barely surviving his first encounter with Goku, Cooler emerged with the Big Getty Star, a sentient machine with galaxy-conquering ambitions and what guidebooks describe as an infinite power engine. Goku initially seems confident, holding his own against Metal Cooler in base form. However, as their battle intensifies, he shifts into the Crimson Kaioken, only for Cooler to confidently intercept and counter each of his attacks. One of the most impressive feats in the entire Dragon Ball franchise across both anime and games is Metal Cooler's ability to react and move during instant transmission, which functionally is a teleportation move. This makes him one of the strongest displays of combat speed and reaction time ever shown, giving Cooler and Goku effectively in this movie infinite speed. Eventually, Goku powers into a Super Saiyan, which forces Meta Cooler to increase his own efforts. Unfortunately, Cooler regains the upper hand, expertly dodging, blocking, and dominating Goku. He even attempts to strangle him into submission until Vegeta arrives to assist. Even with both Saiyans fighting in Super Saiyan form, Meta Cooler fends off with ease. He absorbs their attacks, severely injures Vegeta, and shrugs off their combined efforts. At this point, Goku determines that their only hope is to channel both their combined energy into a single massive blast before Cooler can regenerate. This technique barely overcomes him, but it severely weakens both fighters. It's highly likely that Goku and Vegeta receive Zenkai boosts after their initial clash with Meta Cooler as the Big Getty Star begins draining their energy. The computer system actually panics upon discovering that Goku's energy is too overwhelming, causing it to overload and explode. This also allows Goku to break free and destroy Cooler's core body once and for all, ending the Big Getty Star's control over Namek. As mentioned earlier, guidebooks refer to the Big Getty Star as possessing an infinite power engine, and it's implied that Goku's energy overloaded due to its limitless power. While one might argue this is a hyperbolic statement, it suggests Goku's experienced a massive amplification, possibly achieving infinite 3D power depending on your interpretation. So, when all is said and done, while Imperfect Cell is undeniably powerful, he's simply outclassed here. Meta Cooler, empowered by the Big Getty Star, possesses virtually infinite regeneration and infinite speed, making this a completely one-sided battle. Cell shouldn't even be able to perceive Cooler moving, as in his semi-perfect form, he couldn't even stop Goku from rescuing Piccolo and Tien when using instant transmission, even after stating that he wasn't going to let him get away. This is something that we see Meta Cooler directly not only reacting to, but being able to stop mid-transmission. And mind you, semi-perfect Cell is much stronger than the imperfect Cell we would be referring to here. Not to mention, if they were fighting anywhere near or close to the Big Getty Star, that Cooler would be able to infinitely regenerate. A regeneration that would far exceed Cell's, considering the fact that it wouldn't make him any more stamina drained or fatigued, whereas with Cell, it does cost an amount of stamina to regenerate things that he's lost. However, even if they weren't around the Getty Star and Cooler didn't have access to his regeneration, it's fairly inaccurate that Cell would be able to harm him at all. Even if you wanted to discount the Big Getty Star and its seemingly infinite power, and put Cell above Cooler in terms of power, the gap in speed is so incomprehensible that regardless of how strong Cell would be, he wouldn't be able to touch Cooler and would simply just lose over time. Similar to how Grade 3 Trunks was much stronger than Cell but wasn't able to touch him. In terms of strength and speed, Cooler just simply has him outmatched, and it's making this fight not even close.